Alright, it's dyno time with the Ford GT. Almost had to cancel because it's just nasty raining. I think we caught a quick break in the rain for about 20 minutes so I can bring it up to the dyno shop. Take it to the same place where we dynoed the 720S so we can get comparable numbers. I'm going to run up there right now. Here we go. Ford GT is about to be broken in. Hit that 600 mile mark. And ready. Bam, there we go. 600 miles. Right on the dyno. And then race time. Alright, so just pulled up to the dyno shop. We got Jimmy's McLaren MP412C, which we're dynoing as well. He got upgraded turbos. If you don't remember, we did a stage 1 video of this car where we did fab speed, exhaust, and tune. Picked up some good mile an hour in the trap speeds. Now we're on to stage 2 where we upgraded the turbos, the internals of the turbos, and a new tune, and we're going to be dynoing to see how much power picked up, then we're going to take it to the track. For the Ford GT, first dyno that I've seen online. I know I've seen some other people get some numbers for it. At least we're at the same dyno where I previously dynoed the McLaren 720S. So we'll get a direct comparison of Ford GT and McLaren 720S to see just how much more power the McLaren makes. There is some work to be done though. That rear diffuser on the Ford GT's got to come off. So we're going to pull it in the garage right now and start working on getting that diffuser off while Jimmy dynos his.
It's a very nice setup over here.
So most of the modern supercars are really a pain to dyno because they got all this aero diffuser work on the back here. So this is probably going to take better 40 minutes just to get this bottom diffuser off. There's some wires down there for the backup camera, completely carbon under tray. That way we can strap it to the dyno. So here we are under the GT with the diffuser off. As you can see, a lot of carbon bits here. Here's the standard exhaust, not the titanium exhaust. You can see the catalytic converters here. There's actually 1 here and 1 farther up. Some really cool brake ducting here for the cooling of the brakes. You got an orange flex pipe there connected to this carbon fiber pipe right here, cooling those brakes. You got some NACA ducts here as well. See what else we can see in here. There's some of the shocks and the suspension work up in here. Right there. Got the carbon wheels, of course. Some kind of coolers up here. 1 on each side. Oil and transmission maybe. These are the wires for the backup camera and rear brake light. Or reverse light rather. That's about all we can see. You can see the transmission. Everything's labeled by the VIN. Probably going to swap out this exhaust. This is pretty heavy. You can swap it out with just a X pipe or an H pipe and drop about 25 pounds. So I'm going to look at getting that done as well. So here's a quick tour of the dyno room. Completely enclosed in air conditioning. They got ventilation in the top as well. Bunch of fans up here, multiple screens, 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive. Hopefully we don't have to link the rollers on the Ford GT like we did in the McLaren. The McLaren was panicking when it didn't see all 4 wheels rolling, but I believe when I was at the Ford GT factory, I know they dyno every car before it comes out, and they were just doing the rear wheel. So I don't think we're gonna have a problem. We'll just disable traction control on the GT, strap it down, and should be able to put down some numbers. I looked up the gear ratio. The closest 1-to-1 ratio is 5th gear. So this thing's gonna be moving pretty fast, and this dyno spinning it pretty hard. right, so we got the dyno all strapped down here. It's ready to go. We're gonna place some bets here on what we think it's gonna make. Closest without going over.
Oh man.
Wins.
589.
589.
572.
572.
I'm gonna go 589.
You gotta write this down. This is too much to remember now.
I got 589. Yeah.
So 589.
You gotta go above me? You gotta go. You gotta
590.
Go
590.
okay, fine.
No, you're bumping me out.
Oh, $1. $1.
You said 578?
578.
569.
569.
578.
589.
I want to be optimistic, but I want to win. I'm going 560.
Ooh.
560.
560.
All right, how much are we doing? $100 each?
500 each.
500
500 each.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm in.
All right, so we got $2,000 on the line. You gotta show me the cash.
Oh.
All right.
I know he's got it.
Party time right now.
500 bucks, closest without going over. Who's in?
So we got $2,000. We got.
All right, so here we go. We got the $2,000. I'm bad with the camera work.
Down.
That's it.
$2,000 goes to the winner of the dyno. Who's gonna hold it? I'll hold it. We'll let Nick hold it.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, let's roll the dyno. So all ready to go. We got $2,000 on the line, closest without going over. I hope I win. So we're gonna do 2 dyno polls. What is it? We average that or just the best number?
No, the best number.
Okay, yeah, the best
number.
the best peak power wins at $2,000.
Correct that.
Oh, you said 560 something.
Yeah.
No, we got another
Closest
Average,
without going
average.
over.
You said average.
Yeah, but I don't think we should be spinning the front wheels.
Well,
I think it should just be rear wheel drive. It's not meant to do that.
It's a late time.
All right, so I think actually we got a problem with the dyno because it's spinning all 4 wheels, and he said it was hesitating a little bit. Nevertheless, numbers are the numbers, buddy. I know, 500. Not a great number, but I think we got a problem with that now. Either way, the numbers are the numbers. I get the $2,000. Here we go. All right, so we're just about wrapped up. We got the diffuser back on the car. I got all the numbers, which I'm gonna go through later because it's really late out and everybody's tired and we're all leaving. So final dyno results, wrap up in a minute. All right, so I want to do a wrap-up video outside the shop so I had a chance to kind of go over the numbers and see what was what. The initial results, the Ford GT on that dyno was a Superflow wind dyne, and was complaining a little bit trying to get the power down. We had to do a couple things to get a smooth pull, and actually the first pull was actually pretty low at 505 horsepower. So when we made that initial bet, we kind of based it off those numbers. It actually did make some more numbers or higher power. As you can see in the dyno video, we put a couple people with the fans and blew the air directly into the intercoolers, but still the car was pretty hot, and it put down 525 wheel horsepower. Now, that's actually pretty low. I kind of expected more. Trying to compare it against numbers that we've already had on that same dyno, Huracan put down a few horsepower less, which is rated at 610 horsepower. The GT is rated at 647, but still I expected some higher numbers in the 560 to 575 horsepower range. Now this dyno also has these correction factors which you can take into account. So on this sheet here, you can see that, you know, the 505 run was the first. We put some more air in it, made 525. And then if you want to correct this to DynoJet numbers, it actually made 577 wheel horsepower. So I talked to Jason Hefner, and he had a GT on his dyno, which is a DynoJet as well. And on his dyno, it made about the same, about 570 real wheel horsepower. His does not link the rollers. Now I felt like I wanted to just run the GT in rear wheel drive mode, because it usually, on the dyno at the factory, it didn't complain about running in that mode because they dyno each car from the factory. But when we moved the GT around on the rollers on that to try and get the front wheels off, it was just still pretty close, and I just wasn't comfortable running the car like that. So we just ran it spinning all four wheels on the dyno, because they linked the two rollers underneath. So at the end of the day, it's about 525 wheel horsepower. I think that's a little low. Again, some cars do better on dynos, and they don't complain as much about the heat because there's not a lot of airflow moving over the car. So the McLaren 720S is actually one car we dynoed there before, and if you look at those numbers, pretty astounding. The McLaren just makes a lot more horsepower. Albeit they were on different days and it was probably harder when we were in the GT, still, when you compare these numbers, the McLaren is making a solid 160 more horsepower on the same dyno, which, as you can see in the graph, I mean, it just makes more power all around it. The red line is higher up above 8,000 RPM. The GT's power starts to fall off around 6,000 RPM, and red line's about 7,000 RPM. But at the end of the day, dyno results are just that. The results usually use it to measure power and when you're making modifications to the car to see how much power you can pick up. So it doesn't really reflect in the real world all the time of how the car really performs. That being said, we'll get some numbers on the car. We got some plans to take the GT out racing. I'm going to bring the old GT out, the Huracan, and the 720S. We got some roll races coming up in the next couple weeks. And then when the weather starts to cool off, we'll take it out and do some quarter mile numbers to get some numbers down the actual quarter mile. And I think we're also going to hit the half mile with the Ford GT in October up in Ocala. So there you go. That's the results. Hope you enjoyed seeing the GT on the dyno. It was kind of a pain getting the diffuser on and off, but at the end of the day, it's something we wanted to do. And there you go. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, and you'll be notified of the upcoming races that we're putting together. Thanks a lot.